Hello guys, I hope you're all doing well. I wanted to make a quick video for the new hustler specifically just to help you guys out in creating a plan to tackle and learn the hustle way of trading. This is something that Pete and I did over the last couple months, and it's something that is just incredibly beneficial. It's the thing that changed my trading completely. Without further ado, let's jump into it. So, first things first, I suggest breaking down the content, right? I suggest we break it down into individual concepts and learn them as standalone concepts first and foremost until you have a really good understanding, and then learning a next concept, and then the next concept, next concept. I broke that down, the hierarchy of what you should learn first, second, third, fourth. We'll cover that in a minute, but in the meantime, when you're actually going through those individual concepts, it's super important to have maybe not this exactly, but something very close to this structure to it. So what I recommend is, if we're using multi-time frame swing structure, start on the website, watch all the videos you can about multi-time frame swing structure and structure in general. Then I would read the PDF. When you read the PDF, see if there's anything that you miss in the videos, or vice versa, something you missed in the PDF that was in the videos. But I would say watch it like 1, 2, maybe 3 times. After that, watch it all again, read it again, but every sentence, every idea, every thought, regurgitate it in your own words. Really take detailed notes of what you're learning, because when you do that, you're going to be able to put that information into your own vocabulary, into your own words. And that's going to be the difference between knowing a concept and understanding a concept. So after you take all of those notes, then I would actually hit the charts. And depending on what concept you're learning, I have different exercises that you can do to kind of get your foot in the door and see, like, where am I lacking? Because you can start by mapping out multi-time frame structure. And if you're really struggling with whether or not a pullback is valid, then you know that you have to spend more time on a pullback. Like, it's pretty simple on that, but we'll cover that in a minute. Only once you spend a lot of time on the charts actually applying that individual concept. So for multi-time frame structure, once you spend like 1, 2, 3 weeks, because structure's king, that's where you should focus the majority of your time and your brain power. Then I would say go to the Discord if you need validation for a swing point, or if you're still unsure about something. Because if you go straight to the Discord, like I said, you're not going to understand a concept. If you're like, hey, is this a swing point? Someone could say, yeah, and you're like, cool, I knew that. But if you can't confidently say, hey, this is a swing point, then you don't really understand it and you won't be able to trade it. Simple as that. So taking this process, methodology of breaking down the individual concepts, let's look at what those individual concepts are. So structure is king. We say it all the time. That's why I think first and foremost you should just focus on structure. And these are the 5 branches that I have under structure, because in my brain these are all parts of structure. First and foremost, multi-time frame swing structure. Super important, probably the most important aspect of structure, of the entire strategy, because we need to know our higher time frame directional bias. Take a screenshot of this if you want to see the different exercises that you can do, and there's some more, you'll see them in a minute, but this is if you spend 50, 60, 70 hours, as much time or as little time as you need on these exercises, and you do that for 1 to 2 months, not trading live at the same time, not trading demo at the same time, it's going to absolutely transform your trading. I guarantee it. So do this for multi-time frame structure. Just map it on the 15-minute, the 4-hour, the daily, the 1-hour for the last 6 to 12 months, and just do hundreds of points until you can go through the last 6 months and confidently say what is and what isn't a swing point, and you're not kind of confused or faked out by if a low is wicked or a high is wicked, or a number of candles a pullback is, or how many pips a pullback is, anything like that. And then I would say move on. And it's super important. So I would not try to put all the concepts together yet. I would say learn every single concept here in structure individually, and then try to put them together and do a bunch of markups or end of day markups like that, or mark up some random day 2-3 months ago, a month ago, whatever, and annotate the chart and put in all of these individual concepts and see how they go together. Do that 50, 100 times or whatever, and then bring in supply and demand afterwards. Okay. So back to structure. After multi-time frame swing, I highly suggest you look at strong and weak highs or lows. Just annotate them. Say, why is this strong? Why is this weak? Is it strong? Is it weak? And like the reason behind. Then I would look at order flow. Order flow is super important. Understanding how order flow fits within multi-time frame structure, how order flow fits within strong and weak highs and lows, how it holds for pullbacks, how it holds for pro trend moves in regards to that time frame and higher time frame. So if you're looking at the 15-minute order flow, think of, 15-minute is bearish, 15-minute order flow is bearish. How is the 15-minute order flow holding until that week low goes? And then what happens after the low is run? Paying attention to all those things and kind of getting a portfolio of seeing it play out is going to give you a lot of confidence as it's playing out, trading live, trading demo in a couple of weeks, couple of months. After order flow, look at premium discount. Super simple concept, but often overlooked when you're trading live. So I would say just really focus on it. You mark out swing points, look at premium discount, see where price typically mitigates to, just stuff like that. And then last, in structure, I put momentum, because in my mind, momentum is a part of PA, and it can tell you a lot about where price wants to go. If you take out session timing, and if you take out news events and stuff like that, and you see a very impulsive move, there's a good sign that price is going to continue that direction. It's the whole impulse correction type deal, right? So look at the daily, look at the 4-hour, look at the 15-minute, look at momentous moves and see what happens after. Does price continue there? Does price fill in the imbalance before continuing? Does it reverse? How does a momentous move fit in? Is it pro trend? Is it counter trend? Think of all those things. And if it's counter trend, what's it doing on the higher time frame? Maybe it's counter trend on the 15, but pro trend on the 4-hour, right? So really put everything together once you study each individual concept here under structure, and just do that for as long as you can. Myself and a couple buddies, we did that for about a month, 6 weeks, and I swear to God, I was dreaming candlesticks every single night. I'd spend 10, 12, 14 hours on the chart, and at the end of the night, I would sit there and I'd sleep, and I would just see candlesticks. Just red, green candlesticks. And it was it's crazy, and absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it. So after structure, let's look at supply and demand. Supply and demand is very important because structure is going to give us our overall bias. Supply and demand is going to tell us the levels that we can trade from. And the levels are crazy important because that's where we get involved and play out our structural objective. So I just want to note, premium discount also super important for supply and demand. So once supply and demand, once you're there, once you're ready to start studying it, look at POIs first. And what I suggest is finding 50 examples of each type of POI. Look at 50 examples of inside bars. Look at 50 examples of buy to sell wicks, buy to sell wick, dojis. Look at engulf candles. Look at all the different types that you can, and just build portfolios of 50, 100 examples of just engulf candles, because it's going to train your brain to see them on the chart like that. And if you start cycling through time frames and stuff like that, you can see there's some PA there, nothing's engulfed, and you'll know well, it's probably engulfed on this time frame or that time frame, and you start playing around with it, and you can find it pretty simply. So when we're entering on the 5 seconds and things are happening so fast, it's really important that we're able to see it super fast. And that's why I absolutely preach redundancy. go through, just do it until it's mindless and then do it some more. End of the day, the way I see it is it's not about finishing each individual concept. It's about doing each individual concept. Because if you just find 200 examples of POIs and you're like, okay, I'm done, I can move on, but you didn't really go deep into POIs, then you didn't get what you needed from that section or from studying POIs. Next, let's look at POI refinements. Do the exact same thing again, but then after the 15 minute, after you find that POI on a higher time frame, drop down to a lower time frame, look at the refinement and pay attention to how price interacts with it. And if it has a very impulsive reaction, pay attention to what happens again. After that, then I would say start doing end of day markups, but annotate one day or one trade even, and put every single concept that I have there of structure together. After that, bring in supply and demand and annotate the POI selection, POI refinement, and look at the whole picture. And when you paint the picture, think, okay, so price had a V-shaped recovery, which is momentum, off of my POI refinement. And we have a very momentous move away. And now we are moving pro trend to the 15 minute with 15 minute order flow, but it's counter trend on the 4 hour. You're going to start getting a really clear idea of where you can be looking for entries, where you can start looking for partials and full take profits. After that, after doing that for hundreds of hours, then I would move on to liquidity and entries. At this point, I just threw liquidity in here. Liquidity is super important, but I think that without the other two, liquidity wouldn't have much meaning. So we see it as resting orders. We don't anticipate a sweep. Structure is king. We trade with structure, but we can react to a sweep and we can trade into sweeps of liquidity. So using that idea, think about or go on the chart and find like 50, 100, 200 examples of pools of liquidity and what happens when price sweeps that liquidity. Does it if there's a pool of liquidity, does it just chew right through, or does it interact, wick, V-shape, and go the opposite way? Really build like case studies of just countless case studies so that when it happens live, you don't even have to think about it. Your brain just knows, okay, this happened, so this will probably happen. After that, we can finally look at entries. So entries are probably, they absolutely have to be last, because once you know everything else, once you know POIs, refinements, structure, everything like that, order flow, then entries is all of that just on a lower time frame. A V-shaped recovery is momentum. A chalk is a change of order flow. Liquidation is a liquidation, obviously. Mitigation is an interaction, which you'll see in the POIs. And then that's pretty much it, yeah. So at this time, once you've done all of that other work, which like I said, should take weeks or months, then look at entries, and entries will probably just come. At this point, it should just make so much sense that that's why we're looking for a chalk. That's why we're looking for a flip. That's why we need a liquidation. And at that point, it should just be so clear that it's just a piece of cake. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message. I'd be happy to help out. If you want to screenshot this, so you have the exercises and stuff, I can just make this pretty. But it doesn't stop here, right? Like even now, after doing all of this, I can still say, oh, you know what? This part of order flow I'm still struggling with, and do more exercises. A lot of trading is about being introspective, seeing your weaknesses and being able to fix it. And while on that note, don't compare yourself to other people. When Pete and I were doing this for a month or two, we got like multi-time frame structure. We got it after like 3 days, but we still stuck with it for a month because we just need to drill the idea in. And it was tough doing that and seeing other people in the EU chat just absolutely killing it, like taking crazy trades, 10, 20, 30R, and it's like, fuck, I'm not in those. And you try to rush the process, so you can be, but the more you try to rush the process, the more like counterproductive it is, because you don't have the basics that the other guys that you don't see, but it took them 6, 12, 18 months to do. So really just stay in your own lane, focus on what you need to focus on. Don't compare yourself to others. Find an accountability partner, work hard, and you'll for sure get it. Let's hustle.